Let's have a look at them now. Obviously one of them is undo. Whatever the last command was that you did, undo it. Now, sadly, you can only undo the last one thing. There's not multiple levels of undo. So if you undo something and it reverts back to its previous state, typing undo again, typing the letter U again, undoes the undo. So it puts it back in again, if you like. Okay, a little quiz for you. If I typed in DF greater than sign being the character greater than, what do you think would happen if I did that right here? Well, D is for delete, F is for find the next character, and the greater than sign is obviously the greater than sign. So it would delete up to the next greater than sign. So I could try that. D, F, greater than sign, and all of that stuff just disappears. Now what if I type U for undo? Let's see. U for undo, and it goes back in. If I type U again, okay, well, Vim, which is what I'm using at the moment, has just made a liar out of me. I was not aware that Vim has multiple levels of undo. But now I do know that, so I guess you know it as well. This version of Vi that I'm using, which is called VIM, or Improved Vi, seems to have multiple levels of undo, but the Vi that you would be used to using, unless it's VIM, would not do that. Pressing U for undo would simply delete the text again. And you could keep pressing U, and it would go in and out and in and out and back and forth and back and forth. Oh well, you learn something every day. Closely related to the U command is the capital U command, which is a sort of a primitive version of multiple levels of undo. It will restore the current line to how it was when you arrived on it. So you can make several changes to a line, and then if you don't leave the line, if you're still on that same line, you can use capital U to undo all of those changes and put the line back to how it was when you arrived. So there's a line there with 3 words on it. I'm going to go down to it, okay, and I'm going to make some changes to it. I'm going to do 3x, which deletes 3 characters. I'm going to do a CW, which changes the rest of that word to DOG, and I'm going to insert some text here. This is new text. So I've made several changes on this line, and now I will use capital U to undo all of them. And there they are. They just came back again. I believe that is how the line was before I started mucking around with it. Finally, probably the most powerful command of all in my opinion, relating to Vi, is dot, just a full stop command, which just means repeat the last command. It actually means repeat the last edit, repeat the last change that you made. It doesn't repeat movement, if it's only movement and nothing else. Let's say I've got all these P class equals writing. You can see an example of that on the bottom of the page there. Now, what if I wanted to change that so that it was no longer class equals writing, that it was just P by itself? But I wanted to do it for a great deal of the paragraphs in this document, but not all of them. In other words, I wanted to selectively make some changes. Well, the first thing I might do is do a little search for them. So I might search for P class equals WRI or something like that. Well, that flashed up an error message to me, which I think was something to do with the fact that I used double quotes in my search string, which do tend to mess it up a bit. So I'll try that again. I'll now search for P class, just class equals by itself. And there is one. Now I'll perform a particular command on this. What I'll do is I'll type in CF greater than sign to change all the text from the current cursor point all the way up to the greater than sign, in other words, all the coloured text. What will I change it to? Well, I'll just change it to bracket P close bracket. Let's try that. So CF greater than sign. Okay, it all goes away. Now I replace that with bracket P close bracket. and press escape. Okay, so what I've done is I've found one of the things that I want to change, and I've performed the change on it. Now there's probably a great deal of those things scattered throughout the file. Maybe there's 50 of them, and maybe I want to change half of them, but I want to selectively decide which ones I change and which ones I don't. So can you remember the command, the keystroke that I have to type in to find the next pattern that I'm looking for? Well, it's N. N for Nelly, N for next, and so I found the next one. So do I want to perform that operation, that same operation again, whatever it was, whatever I changed before, do I want to perform that same change again, yes or no? And if I say yes, then I type in a dot. Dot means repeat the last change. So for this one, I will say yes, I do. So I type in dot, and it changes. Then I go N, dot, N, dot, N, dot, N, dot, and then N. Now I may not want to change that one, so I won't type in the dot this time. I'll just do another N. So I can just type in N's and N's and N's until I find one that I want to change, at which point I type in dot. So N, dot, N, dot, N, dot, N, 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 dot, and so on. Anyway, I just wanted to show you an example of how you might repeat a command, or why you might want to repeat a command. And if you want to, and it is a thing that especially programmers tend to find themselves doing over and over again, then you just simply use the dot command. The next module is what we call advanced editing, which is just a series of useful but miscellaneous commands that don't seem to fit anywhere else.